Hello, everyone. Today, we're not learning another complicated management system. We're learning a different way of working, a way that helps people stay organized, adapt more quickly, and reduce unnecessary stress. Many people hear the words Agile and Kanban and immediately think of software developers or IT companies. But the truth is, these ideas work almost everywhere. Whether you're an office employee, a supervisor, a business owner, a teacher, a student, or even someone organizing tasks at home, these principles can make work simpler and more manageable. The goal today isn't to memorize new terminology. The goal is to discover practical habits that make work flow more smoothly. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever started your day with a clear plan, only to have everything change before lunch? Someone sends an urgent email. Customer calls. Your manager asks for something immediately. A coworker needs help. Suddenly, the work you planned is no longer your priority. Many people don't struggle because they're lazy. They struggle because today's work environment changes constantly. The challenge isn't simply working harder. It's learning how to work smarter despite constant change. The goal today isn't to memorize new terminology. The goal is to discover practical habits that make work flow more smoothly. Many of us grew up believing that being busy means being productive. If we're rushing all day, we feel we've accomplished something. But think about those days when you worked nonstop and still went home feeling like nothing important was actually finished. That's because activity and productivity are not the same thing. Being constantly busy often hides poor organization. Agile challenges this mindset. Instead of asking, how can I do more work? It asks, how can I create more value with the work I already do? Years ago, organizations could create a plan and follow it for months or even years. Today, that's much harder. Customers change their minds. Markets change. Technology evolves. Unexpected problems appear. If our plans never change, they quickly become outdated. The people and organizations that succeed today aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones who adapt the fastest. That's exactly where Agile begins. One of the biggest misconceptions is that Agile is a complicated process. It isn't. Agile is first and foremost a mindset. It means being willing to learn, adjust, and improve as new information becomes available. Imagine driving to a destination. If you discover a road closure, you don't stop driving. You simply choose another route. Agile works exactly the same way. Instead of stubbornly following the original plan, Agile encourages us to adjust while keeping our destination in mind. Let's imagine you're going on a road trip. You plan your route the night before. Everything looks perfect. The next morning, you discover that one of the main roads is closed because of an accident. Now you have two choices. The first is to insist on following your original plan, even though you know it won't work. The second is to open your map, find another route, and continue your journey. Most of us would naturally choose the second option. That's Agile. Agile doesn't mean planning is unimportant. Planning is still essential. The difference is that Agile accepts that reality can change, and when it does, we adapt instead of pretending nothing happened. Being flexible isn't a sign of weakness. It's often a sign of wisdom. Agile is really about developing better habits. Instead of asking, who's to blame? Agile asks, what can we learn? Instead of saying, we've always done it this way, Agile asks, is there a better way? And instead of waiting for perfection, Agile encourages us to make steady improvements over time. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. Nobody becomes an expert on the first try. You ride, you wobble, you adjust, you improve. That's Agile in everyday life. Many people believe improvement has to be dramatic. They think success comes from one big breakthrough. In reality, lasting improvement usually comes from many small changes. Imagine saving just a small amount of money every week. 1 week doesn't seem impressive, but after months or years, those small savings become significant. Improvement works the same way. One small idea, one better habit, one lesson learned. Eventually, those small improvements create remarkable results. That's one of the core ideas behind Agile. Now let's meet one of the simplest and most powerful Agile tools. It's called Kanban. The word Kanban comes from Japan and simply means visual sign or visual card. The idea is beautifully simple. Instead of keeping work inside your head or hidden inside long email chains, we make work visible. Once everyone can see the work, it's much easier to organize, prioritize, and improve it. Kanban doesn't make work disappear. It simply makes work easier to understand. This is the heart of Kanban. 3 simple columns. To do, doing, done. That's it. Every task starts on the left. When you begin working on it, you move it to doing. When it's finished, you move it to done. It sounds almost too simple. But don't underestimate simple ideas. One glance at this board tells everyone exactly where work stands. No guessing. No confusion. No asking, has anyone started this yet? Imagine trying to cook dinner without knowing what's already in the refrigerator. You might buy things you already have. You might forget important ingredients. You waste time and money. The same thing happens at work. When work is invisible, people accidentally duplicate effort, overlook priorities, or assume someone else is handling an important task. Making work visible creates shared understanding. Everyone sees the same picture. And when everyone sees the same picture, teamwork becomes much easier. Many people proudly say, "I'm a great multitasker." But research and everyday experience show something different. Our brains don't truly do many thinking tasks at the same time. Instead, we rapidly switch from one task to another. Every time we switch, we lose a little focus. Think about reading a book while checking your phone every 30 seconds. You'll probably finish the chapter much more slowly. Kanban encourages us to focus on fewer things at a time. Ironically, doing fewer things often helps us accomplish more. Here's one of Kanban's most important ideas. It's called limiting work in progress, or WIP. The idea is simple. Don't start 10 different tasks if you can only realistically finish 3. Imagine cooking 5 complicated meals at the same time. Everything gets cold. Everything takes longer. Now imagine cooking 1 meal, finishing it well, then starting the next. That's much more efficient. Kanban teaches us to finish work, not simply start work. Finished work creates value. Half-finished work usually doesn't. Think about eating at a buffet. Would you pile everything onto your plate at once? Probably not. Most of us take what we can comfortably eat. When we're finished, we go back if we want more. Work should be the same. Unfortunately, many workplaces keep adding new tasks before the previous ones are finished. People become overwhelmed, deadlines slip, and quality suffers. Kanban introduces a different idea called pull. Instead of work being pushed onto people, team members pull new work only when they have the capacity to do it properly. This doesn't mean working less. It means working at a pace that allows us to produce quality results without unnecessary stress. Imagine pouring water through a bottle. No matter how much water you pour into the top, it can only come out as fast as the bottle's narrow neck allows. That's a bottleneck. The same thing happens in work. Sometimes one approval takes too long. Sometimes one machine is always occupied. Sometimes one person becomes responsible for everything. The rest of the work piles up behind them. Kanban makes bottlenecks visible. Instead of blaming people, we improve the process. One small improvement at the bottleneck often speeds up the entire system. One of my favorite ideas is this. You don't have to change everything today. You only have to improve one thing. Sometimes organizations wait for the perfect solution. Months pass. Nothing changes. Agile teaches the opposite. Make one improvement. See what happens. Learn from it. Then improve again. Small improvements may not look impressive today, but after a year, those small improvements often transform an entire team. Progress is usually built one small step at a time. Some people think Kanban only belongs in offices. Actually, many families use it without realizing it. Imagine a whiteboard in your kitchen. One column says to do. Another says doing. The last says done. Household chores move across the board. Children can see what still needs to be done. Parents can quickly check progress. The same idea works for studying, planning vacations, organizing events, even preparing for Christmas. Kanban isn't about business. It's about making work visible so life becomes a little less stressful. I'd like everyone to imagine creating their own Kanban board tonight. Write down 10 things you need to accomplish. Don't keep them in your head. Put them on paper. Now choose only 3 to place in the doing column. Those become your priorities. When one is finished, move it to done and pull another task into doing. Notice what happens. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by 10 unfinished tasks, your attention is focused on 3 meaningful ones. It's amazing how much calmer and more productive this simple habit can make you feel. If you remember only 5 things from today, let them be these. First, Agile is not just a process. It's a way of thinking. Second, Kanban helps us see our work clearly. Third, trying to do everything at once usually slows us down. Fourth, improvement doesn't have to be dramatic. Small improvements matter. And finally, finishing work creates more value than simply starting lots of tasks. These ideas are simple, but simple ideas, consistently practiced, often create extraordinary results. I like to leave you with one simple picture. Imagine you've just finished shopping. You have 10 heavy grocery bags in your car. Many of us try to carry all 10 at once. The bags cut into our hands. Some fall to the ground. We become frustrated. Now imagine carrying only 1 or 2 bags at a time. Each trip is easier. Nothing gets dropped. You reach your destination with less stress. Work is no different. We often overload ourselves because we think doing more at once means being more productive. But real productivity isn't about how many tasks we start. It's about how many meaningful tasks we finish. That's the heart of Agile. That's the heart of Kanban. Work doesn't have to feel chaotic. When we make work visible, focus on what matters, and improve one step at a time, we create a better way of working, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us. Thank you, and I hope today's session inspires you to try one small Agile habit starting tomorrow. Before we finish, I'd like to clear up one common misunderstanding. Some people think Agile and Kanban mean exactly the same thing. Actually, Kanban is just one way of applying Agile. Think of Agile as a big family. Within that family are different ways of organizing work. Kanban is one member of the family. Scrum is another. Lean is another. There are many more. All of them share the same goal: help people deliver better results while adapting to change. They simply use different tools and different ways of organizing work. The good news is that once you understand the Agile mindset, learning any of these approaches becomes much easier. 2 names you'll probably hear quite often are Scrum and Moscow. Let's start with Scrum. Imagine building something important. Instead of waiting 6 months before showing anyone your work, Scrum encourages teams to work in short cycles called sprints. A sprint might last 1 or 2 weeks. At the end of each sprint, the team reviews what they've completed, gathers feedback, and plans the next sprint. This allows improvements to happen regularly instead of waiting until the very end. Now let's look at Moscow. Despite the name, it has nothing to do with the city. It's simply a way of deciding what is most important. M stands for must have. These are absolutely essential. S stands for should have. Important, but not absolutely critical. C stands for could have. Nice to include if time and resources allow. W stands for won't have for now. Not because they're bad ideas, but because they aren't today's priority. Moscow helps teams focus on what delivers the greatest value first. One of the beautiful things about Agile is that nobody expects perfection. Agile is built on learning. Many Agile teams begin each day with a short meeting called a daily stand-up. It's usually only a few minutes long. Everyone answers 3 simple questions. What did I finish yesterday? What will I work on today? What's preventing me from moving forward? At the end of a project, Or even at the end of a week, teams often hold a retrospective. Instead of asking, who made mistakes, they ask, what worked well? What can we improve next time? Agile teams also keep a list of future work called a backlog. Rather than trying to remember everything, ideas are written down and prioritized. Many teams describe work using user stories, which simply explain work from the customer's point of view. Perhaps the biggest lesson from Agile is this: you don't have to be perfect. You simply have to keep learning. Every improvement, no matter how small, makes tomorrow's work a little better than today's. As we come to the end of today's session, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Many people believe improvement happens because of one big decision, one brilliant idea, or one major breakthrough. But in reality, that's rarely how meaningful progress happens. Most success is built quietly. One small improvement, one better habit, one lesson learned, one task completed, then another. That's really what Agile is all about. It's not about rushing. It's not about trying to do everything at once. And it's certainly not about adopting complicated tools just because they're popular. Agile begins with a simple mindset. See your work clearly. Focus on what matters most. Finish what you start. Then look for one small way to improve. When you repeat that process every day, something remarkable happens. The work becomes clearer. Teams communicate better. Problems become easier to solve. Stress begins to decrease. And progress becomes something you can actually see. Whether you're leading a company, managing a project, working with a team, studying, or simply organizing your personal life, these same principles apply. You don't have to change everything tomorrow. Just choose one small Agile habit from today's session and start there. Remember, small focus creates steady progress. Steady progress creates lasting improvement. And lasting improvement creates extraordinary results over time. If this made you think, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. It helps me create more free learning content like this.